Alright, so we are officially to that point in the Browns season where everything has hit the fan, this team is awful, and trade rumors are starting to roll around. Obviously, the talk of the last 3 weeks has been mostly about when Shedeur Sanders will get put in because Dillon Gabriel is not an NFL quarterback. But I think the biggest news going on right now that not enough people are truly paying attention to is that the Browns are about to trade David Njoku. The other day, they just made a few interesting signings that could clear the way for the trade to happen, and it just makes too much sense to move him. And there also has been talks about Myles Garrett getting traded for a haul as well. We are now at that point where this season is a wash, so in my opinion, you might as well stash draft picks if you can. So in this video, I want to talk about all the possibilities and all the rumors going on with this team. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 60,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so first things first, I know I'm kind of late to cover this, but just a few days ago, the Browns quietly shook up the tight end room. They claimed Brendan Bates off the waivers, a guy who's been around this organization before, knows the system, and brings some extra depth as both a pass catcher and special teams guy. And not only that, but they also signed Caden Prescorn to the practice squad, a 6'6" red zone target out of Ole Miss with strong blocking credentials and a reputation for coming up clutch. To make space, they let go of Jarek Bernard-Converse, who was inactive for multiple games, and said goodbye to preseason running back star Amani Marshall, who simply wasn't being used. And why does all that matter? Because when a team randomly just brings in 2 tight ends like that in less than 24 hours, right as trade talks are starting to heat up, it's definitely not a coincidence. That's contingency planning at its finest, at least to me. If you haven't been following Browns Twitter or the national media, Njoku's name has popped up on multiple trade candidate lists from ESPN to The Athletic. The fact is, he's in his final year of a $55 million deal. He's set to hit free agency in 2026 and turns 30 next July, which is just crazy. I mean, he was a part of the 0-16 team. Time really does fly. It doesn't feel real that he's been on the team for that long. But for a team that is clearly headed toward a reset, once again, holding on to an expensive veteran who might leave for nothing just makes no sense. Insiders still say that Cleveland isn't actively shopping him, but they're listening, hoping a playoff contender meets their price. At minimum, they want a 3rd or 4th round pick. Sports Illustrated made a suggestion of a 5th and a pick swap to the Rams, and it drew universal groans from a lot of Browns fans, and rightfully so. A player who leads your team in receiving touchdowns and averages over 9 yards per catch doesn't go for pennies. But you can definitely start to see the winds shifting within the organization. Harold Fannin Jr. has outsnapped Njoku, logging 40 snaps, 74% against New England, and notching a team high in receptions. The rookie out of Bowling Green looks like the future at the position. Even Blake Whiteheart has been getting thrown in the mix from time to time as well over the last few weeks, albeit that Njoku was out. So I definitely see a David Njoku trade coming very soon within the next few weeks. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Alright, now moving on. I will address Myles Garrett, but let's talk about some non-trade stuff. Allow me to get into this week's news on the Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel situation that just keeps getting even spicier and more intense. Dillon Gabriel just played his worst game of the season by far against the New England Patriots. According to advanced stats, he is now officially the worst QB in the entire NFL. All he does is throws checkdowns. He threw a checkdown to nobody in the end zone for a safety. He has shown no flashes of upside, and still Kevin Stefanski won't even speak about the word Shedeur in press conferences. It honestly is getting to the point where it's annoying me. What is he hiding? What is he covering up? There is just no reason not to at least try Shedeur and give him a fair shot, because this season has been a disaster already, and there is no reviving it. Now, you could say the Browns are trying to protect Sanders, which that's a fair statement. That's really the only angle that makes any sense at all. The Browns have barely any offensive line left, no weapons at receiver. They have a running game, but they don't use it. The chances of Shedeur being successful in this environment are very, very low, but still, if you don't use him at all, you will never know what he is and what he can be. And if you don't give him a shot, this year is really it, because you already know this organization will be on the hunt for their 85th attempt at finding a franchise QB this offseason. And even more frustrating to me is seeing all these Myles Garrett trade rumors going around. And while from a logical standpoint, I get it, you'd be getting a haul for your star in a lost season, but no, a Myles Garrett trade would not make any sense for this team. According to some insiders, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than seeing Myles get traded. Nobody is going to want to take on his massive contract. The Browns committed to him long term. He is fresh off a record-setting 5-sack game. He really is one of the only reasons that Browns fans show up outside of tradition, which is something the Haslams love and definitely value. I know you could probably get a first and some other assets in return for Myles, but there are so many other players and things that could be traded outside of him that it just doesn't make sense for him to be the guy to go, especially if the Browns do believe they are only one QB and a receiver away from reviving themselves. I really don't think you should expect to see a fire sale this trade deadline, but there will be some trades. And I'm at least 75% sure that David Njoku will be moved for a pick. So things are not going to get better. They're not going to look better. The Browns will be lucky to win 2 more games the rest of the way. The best thing you can hope for if you're a Browns fan is for the Browns to lose out, maybe win 1 more game, and the Jags to lose most of their games the rest of the way. And then the Browns will have 2 top 10 picks in next year's draft. And they will go into next year with some of the players they picked, maybe even Caleb Downs if we're lucky, and they could see what they got. And then after that, the Watson contract will be gone. That's when you can really go for it again and really start to rebuild. Because I've said it a million times, and I will say it again, have the Browns made awful decisions over the past 2 years? Yes, absolutely. The way they managed the quarterback position over the last 365 days has been high school level. It has just been awful. But they did completely get screwed by Haslam's decision to take a big swing at Deshaun Watson. And when you're committed $250 million to a guy that's not even around, that really limits what you can do. That's why Jerry Jeudy is the only receiver this year. That's why the Browns have had to stick with their old offensive line. It really is the root cause of everything. So for as bad as Andrew Berry is, you do have to cut him a little bit of slack because of his situation, but at the same time, I'm sure he at least had some say in that Watson trade. And that was one I'm not mad at because they did at least go for it. They took the big swing, but still, the guys up top never make the right decisions, and that's the frustrating thing. Berry is not speaking to the media during this bye week. That's something that does kind of make me think he might be on the hot seat. There definitely is something going on. Both him and Kevin are getting asked the difficult questions, and they refuse to give us any sort of answers, even a hint. Kevin's press conferences have just become a complete joke. They are absolutely hilarious. I'll show you a clip from his last one, just to give you an example of how fake they are.
Yeah, when I say look at everything, there's just, when you lose like this, you have to look at everything. Every position, everything I'm doing, there's just it's frustrating for where we are as a team. So every position you have to look at. Yeah, there's a bunch of different things that we can look at. Obviously, with our defensive front, there's teams attack us in certain ways, and that's always been the case really in this defense. And we have ways to combat it. And obviously, there's gonna be times when they you have to give them credit, but there's things that we can do.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you guys so much if you made it to this point. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see happen as we start to approach the trade deadline and as we start to approach that time of year where things start to shake up across the NFL. If you did enjoy this one, once again, thank you all so much for your support. Please be sure to share this video to your friends because I have been struggling with the algorithm ever since I had the copyright stuff, but we're starting to try to revive the channel. We're kind of rebuilding here. I know we're only getting like 400 or 500 views and we used to get like 40K. We're going to get back there. I am never going to stop the grind. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.